When Andrew Windsor was stripped of his royal titles in October 2025, most people thought that was the end of his story. But here's the twist nobody saw coming. His rental arrangement at Royal Lodge has just triggered the biggest financial investigation into the entire royal family in decades. What started as one disgraced prince's scandal has blown wide open into something far bigger, and the firm is scrambling. If you want the latest updates on this unfolding drama, make sure you're subscribed to Royal Family Daily, because this story is moving fast. Let's talk numbers. Andrew has been living in Royal Lodge since 2003. This isn't some modest cottage. We're talking about a 30-room mansion worth $40 million, sitting on 98 acres of prime Windsor real estate. And what has he been paying for this palace? Essentially nothing. The lease agreement required him to pay 1 peppercorn annually if demanded. Yes, you heard that right. A peppercorn. He paid around $1 million up front and spent $10 million on renovations, but after that, his annual rent was practically zero. But here's where it gets interesting. When that lease was filed back in 2003, the rental terms were intentionally redacted, hidden from public view for over 2 decades. The details only surfaced after he lost his titles, and now people are asking what else has been buried. The UK's Public Accounts Committee isn't just looking at Andrew anymore. They're launching a full inquiry into every single royal property deal. Norman Baker, a former politician who spent years investigating royal finances, says Andrew is just the tip of the iceberg. Parliament is now demanding complete transparency on the entire portfolio of royal residences. And guess what? The Crown Estate initially refused to hand over the information. They're now being forced to comply, and insiders say what's about to come out will shock the public. This is getting even crazier, so hit that like button and subscribe because you're going to want to follow this story. Prince Edward and his wife Sophie live in Bagshot Park. It's a 120-room mansion on 87 acres, worth around $40 million. Edward paid $6.7 million up front in 2007 for a 150-year lease. After that one-time payment, he pays peppercorn rent just like his brother. Norman Baker calls it obscene. Think about it. Millions of British families are struggling to afford tiny flats, paying thousands every month, while Edward lives in a mansion that could generate millions commercially for virtually nothing. And here's the kicker. If Edward ever decides to sell that lease, he could potentially profit from it. A property funded by public money turned into a private asset. Then there's Princess Alexandra, the Queen's cousin. She's been living in Thatched House Lodge since 1963. It's a 6-bedroom mansion on 4 acres in Richmond Park, and she pays roughly $2,800 a year. That's about $233 a month. For a mansion, in one of London's most exclusive areas, MPs are now questioning whether these decades-old lease terms have any connection to actual market value, or if this is just another sweetheart deal that's been quietly accepted for generations. Now, let's talk about the real bombshell. The money. In 2011, the UK changed how they funded the royals. They replaced the civil list with something called the Sovereign Grant. The last year of the civil list gave the royals $10.5 million. Fast forward to 2024, and the Sovereign Grant handed them $110 million. For 2025 to 2026, it's jumping to $165 million. That's a 53% increase in 1 year. Why? Because the Sovereign Grant is tied to profits from the Crown Estate, and offshore wind farms are making billions. Norman Baker says the UK royal family now costs taxpayers around $625 million annually. That's more than 10 times what any other European monarchy costs. Let us know in the comments if you think this is fair, because people are starting to ask serious questions. Here's what makes this even more suspicious. King Charles controls at least 52 known grace and favour residences. These are properties given to royal family members, staff or friends, often at little to no cost. But back in 1993, records showed there were 272 of these properties. The palace refuses to say how many exist today or whether anyone is paying market rent for them. When Baker asked for a full list, they shut him down. Sources say most of these properties sit empty. Some are vacant almost permanently. 11 working royals have access to roughly 4 times the number of residences they actually need, while the public foots the bill for maintenance and security. And then there's the contrast that's making people furious. William and Kate reportedly pay market rent for their properties. Harry and Meghan were forced to repay $3.2 million for Frogmore Cottage renovations before being evicted. But Andrew, despite all his scandals, was offered Frogmore Cottage after Harry left. Critics say there's selective transparency and completely unequal treatment depending on who you are in the family. If you're not already subscribed to Royal Family Daily, now's the time because we're covering all the palace drama they don't want you to know about. Norman Baker has issued a direct warning to Charles and William. Drive these costs down yourselves before Parliament does it for you. MPs are set to hold a formal inquiry in early 2026, and insiders say the royal family is genuinely worried about how deep this investigation will go. What was supposed to be quietly managed and swept under the rug has turned into a public reckoning. The monarchy's financial arrangements, hidden and protected for generations, are finally being dragged into the daylight. And once the public sees the full picture, there's no going back. So, what happens next? That's what everyone's waiting to find out. Will the inquiry force the royals to pay market rent? Will they have to give up properties? Or will Parliament go even further and restructure how the entire monarchy is funded? The Andrew scandal has opened a door. The firm can no longer close. Make sure you subscribe to Royal Family Daily, hit that bell icon, and drop a comment below with what you think is going to happen next. This story is far from over.